So really the point that I wanted to get to with the last video is that mental disorders are not an exact science. Like, for example, let's make a comparison right now between autism and retardation, okay? So now with retardation, let's imagine somebody, they score below 70 on an IQ test, they get diagnosed as a retardation, all right? I know nobody likes to call it that anymore, but you know, it's true. Like, all right, let's say, well, I don't know. Hey, I'm not trying to give anybody any title. I'm saying these are essentially meaningless. But anyways, let's imagine you get the title of retarded, okay? So now, if you have like a pipe in your brain, or a literal pipe, okay? Somebody like jammed a pipe in your brain when you're fucking like, you know, well, let's not get into, you know, whatever. But let's say, yeah, somebody jammed a pipe into your brain, okay? So now, you have a setup, like a mental setup, like an actual brain formation. You know, the pipe being in your brain. Well, I don't know, formation, maybe that's not the best word. But, you know, you have a brain setup, you know, pipe in brain, where it's like you're predisposed to answer the questions that way based on something in your brain, a pipe, you know? So, well, anyways, now there's another person who's also diagnosed as, you know, retarded, and they have the tendency to answer the questions that way because of environmental circumstances. You know, they listen to other retards, like, constantly. Like, people who are, for whatever reason, diagnosed with retardation, okay? They listen to them like they're geniuses, okay? And so now they're predisposed due to an environmental factor to then answer the questions and then become retarded, okay? And then there's somebody else who, as a stroke of luck, just happened to answer the questions in formation to become retarded. You know, maybe this person's lazy. Maybe they just didn't feel like doing the math on the test. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they just didn't fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're like, this is free work. I'm not down for this. I just got fucking thrown into a schooling system, and it's a system of getting free work out of me, and I'm not interested. And I'm not interested in your stupid test either. So alright, fucking, you know, what are the 10 reasons that this could happen? Fuck you. That's what I give for an answer. Like, you know? So I get the diagnosis of retarded. You know what I'm saying? So now imagine that. So now you got those 3 different types of people who are then under the same thing, and there's no separation between any of them. And if not, like, retested or, you know, checked for their behavior to have changed, or for their behavior to have never aligned with that, you know, the diagnosis to begin with, then you know, there's, you know what I'm saying? There's those 3 different types. So essentially, what I'm getting at here is anybody could be diagnosed as retarded. Like, if you just answer the questions that way, that's all there is to it. There's no physical aspect to it. They don't check for the pipe in the brain. You know what I'm saying? They don't check for environmental circumstances. They don't check for if I care. Wait, you know? And also, just as a fluke, even with caring, hypothetically, I could, you know, go and fucking answer the questions retarded. Because, like, let's give another example, just to prove that there's more than 3, for sure. Let's say you think, or let's just say somebody before you to begin taking the test says to you, don't overthink it. And then you think to yourself in that moment that, wow, I'm weird. I don't know why I'm weird, but it might be like a negative thing towards me. And I know I can't act normal or like the majority of people. And doing that in this test may provide me with some benefits, so I'll do that. And they end up with retarded, okay? But you probably more likely end up with, like, I don't know, average. You know, since you're acting like the average of people around you. Or maybe a little above, maybe a little below. But, so like, there's lots of different circumstances that can lead somebody to test a certain way on a certain test. So it's fucking ridiculous to think that a test has anything to do with, like, a person's, what were the mental disorder? Yeah, like, mental disorder to me, at the very least, has this sort of implication that there's something going on in the mind of the person that this then diagnosis, you know, says something about. Like, okay, we found this mental disorder, a disorder in your mind. But that's not even necessarily the case. I mean, imagine the person who they answered that way because it was the average of the people around them, you know? They answered that way because they were listening to those type of people. Now, I mean, the same thing could happen with the autism diagnosis. Imagine you're trying to blend in with the people around you, and you're chilling with a whole bunch of people who fucking would get an autism diagnosis. And you decide to act that way to fit in with the group. Congratulations, you just got an autism diagnosis. But maybe some of those people in your group, and there's something physical going on that makes them, you know, more so contractually obligated to that behavior than you are, you know? But like, so there's just such a vagueness and uncertainty to the whole thing. And so I think realistically, as time moves on, and I don't even think it'll take that much time, give it maybe 30 years, with the right people working on it, this whole idea of mental disorders will be gone in lieu of something that separates them. You know? Wait. And not in lieu, I meant to say fucking I don't know. Fucking it'll be gone and it'll be replaced with something that fucking separates these things. Yeah. I mean, it sure will. Why wouldn't it be? You know, I want it separated between the people who have a pipe in their head, the people who decided to listen to the people around them, rather than the people who actually have a better capacity than that, and have then decided to follow these certain set of, you know, things that they're doing, you know, in order to, like, align with some sort of group or something. So that way you can separate it between the guy who has the pipe in his head. He's going to have to work really hard if he wants to not be retarded anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a long uphill battle for him to be able to get the answers to those questions and, you know, to get a better, you know, get his faculties together. He might have to get the pipe out of his head. Well, that's a bad metaphor at that point, you know. But you know, maybe he has to live with the pipe in his head. And he has to work around that constantly. It's a constant battle for him. And then, you know, there's the person who's just environmental circumstances. They're listening to a whole bunch of retards. So, if this video gets taken down because of the use of the word retard, man, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be pissed. Alright? I'm gonna battle it every day of my life. Alright? But anyways, hypothetical circumstances are, you know, out of here. Away from us. Yeah, so then like the person who has like a whole bunch of fucking people around them who they were listening to, maybe they just see the test fucking come back retarded. And they're like, hey, don't you know this, and you know what I'm saying? It'd take you like 10 seconds with that person, opposed to the fucking 10 years with the person with the actual pipe in their head. And then the person who's doing it just to fit in with a group, you know, maybe that's their kumbaya, you know, maybe that's what they fucking want to do. Whatever, cool. But if not, you know what I'm saying, you could have an alternative test to like figure out like, oh yeah, like they actually have a better capacity than that, you know what I'm saying? They have the ability to not do that. If you really needed to find that for whatever reason. Unless you'd separate the three primary groups of the people who are diagnosed with the same thing for entirely different reasons. With those you know, with those reasons never being acknowledged by the, hey, let's just ask them questions indiscriminately and leave it at that. Alright. Check for a pipe in the head. You know?